Yeah, could you describe to us the significance of what we just saw there? Is this the first time that a non-state actor has carried out a VBSS, visit, board, siege, search and seize operation on a merchant ship?
Yeah, Sandeep, coming from a maritime special operations background, firstly, I want to just, before we come to that, like to highlight, to say that, people like us kind of can say that we saw it coming.
Right.
Basically because, what the difference between land and the maritime space is something which we need to understand.
Right.
Our comfort zones lie on land. We are land lovers.
Yes.
And, we tend to sort of avoid what is not comfortable to us, that is the maritime space.
Yeah.
But the complexities there are enormous.
Yeah.
And what is finally warfighting? Warfighting is about, getting the adversary unaware, getting, him out of his comfort zones, and carrying out an operation at the least cost.
Right.
So, I would say that this was a classic exploitation of the sea to initiate an operation where you could, attract media attention and get the world to sort of, hear you out.
Right.
So to follow it up, when you say VBSS, so VBSS basically is visit, board, search and siege operations, which carried out by patrolling forces of a particular country.
Yeah.
A lot of activities happen at sea, from drug trafficking to human trafficking, arms smuggling.
Right.
Of course, reaching out to maritime terrorism. So basically, I would classify this as a classic offensive boarding operations.
Right.
And commandeering a ship.
Right. Piracy, basically, to put it in simple terms. Yeah.
Well, piracy by definition of IMO may have a little difference as compared to maritime terrorism. So here is where we need to sort of, when you were mentioning non-state actors, what I like to also flag here is that a question to all of us is that, is the line between state and non-state actors really diminishing, right? Where do you draw this line?
Right.
And like you rightly pointed out, capabilities to do such an operation are not run-of-the-mill capabilities.
Yes.
What we saw today, firstly, you need assets, you need skills, you need training, you need to have a tactical understanding, you need, air crew which is qualified to land helicopters on moving ships. You need especially Heliborne trained special forces type of training. You need planning, you need rehearsals. So is it just that, overnight you can get something like this?
Those operators, Commodore Tiwari, that you saw, I mean, did it occur to you that they would have probably rehearsed this several times over, the confidence with which they were moving around on the deck and, disembarking from the helicopter? Did they strike you as trained operators?
100%. I would absolutely support that in saying that you do not just take off from a helipad and then just land on a ship and then carry out this operation. It requires a lot of training and rehearsals before you can achieve that. And that's where comes the question of state and non-state capabilities today, which are kind of merging. So it's open to us to discuss and debate as to how these have been acquired.
Right.
And another interesting fact is that all of us know that recently, even the senior Houthi leadership had threatened that they will undertake an operation like this. So that means when you threaten, you know of your capability, right?
Right.
And if you know that you have this capability and can conduct an operation like that, it's only when you come out and say that we can do something like that or threaten.
Right.
So that's why I say that we should have, in my opening, that we should have seen it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, the Houthis have been carrying out such attacks against the Saudi coalition over the last couple of years, using drones and suicide boats and such things as we've seen. But Commodore Tiwari, what is the import for a country like India, which is distant, which is removed from this battleground, but is affected by it because a majority of our commerce, our sea lanes of communication, it's a Bab el Mandab, is very, very important to our traffic that flows to Europe. How do we respond to a situation like this?
Interesting fact about Bab al-Mandab is, by the very name in Arabic means gates of tears.
Right.
The area is, of course, that name came because of erstwhile seafarers had a great challenge in navigation, navigating through those straits. And that's why the gates of tears.
Right.
But what I wanted to just put across is saying that is that space, which is very strategic to all of us, especially India, going to be exploited, and new connotation of gates of tears for all the maritime forces in terms of now security and not navigation.
Right.
So having said that, yes, India has a very, very legitimate and a very critical sort of strategic interest in that area. And this is well known to all of us here. And I'm certain the Indian Navy has its plans in place, it has its capabilities in place, its contingencies and SOPs in place. So as and when anything is required, we need to address it. I'm sure we have the full capability to take on operations here.
Right.
So again, states are signatories to various international conventions, and therefore that gives an overarching sort of a umbrella to operate within. Whilst when we talk about non-state actors or groups like the Houthis, when you're not signatory to any of these conventions, then any soft target, as was chosen in this case, becomes a legitimate target for whatever you would like to do. And the implications of maritime operations of this nature, of the kind that we've seen, with the capability that was deployed, it's important to also note that, the maritime space where the flagship may be of a different country, the ownership may be of a different country, the crew may be of a variety of countries. A small incident like this, a soft target like this, can have immense ramifications globally. And also we need to look at the escalatory profile of an operation like this.
Right. So
in the overall context of this, it's a very interesting operation which they have undertaken. I would say, and especially like you pointed out earlier, the use of Heliborne forces. That's, to the best of my knowledge, I think it's a new one.
News9 Plus. Download now.